Welcome to the UK, country where lots of climbers embrace this weird style of climbing called tread climbing, using only the natural protection, which is sometimes reasonable, sometimes very sketchy, sometimes close to each other, sometimes very far. It's an interesting game, and in order to fully enjoy it, you have to embrace overcoming the fear. Climbing on the sport routes, I rarely ever get to experience this fear. But here in UK, I have a route in my mind where I think, the balance between the fear and danger will be just perfect.
I first came up to Pavey in 2021 to have a look at the classic route here, Impact Day. And when I was abseiling down the face, I just noticed this blank line on the head wall, which was clearly unclimbed. It was still covered in lichen. And so I got pretty excited. I started brushing off the lichen and found these little micro crimps and realized it would go. The thing that was just so obvious about it was the huge run out up the head wall. It's actually twice as big as the run out that you do on Impact Day, and that route gets E8. And so it was a matter of, could I do something that was that close to my sport limit with such a big run out? I went halfway up the run out, jumped off, went a little bit further, jumped off, and then I didn't dare go any further. It was a case of, when I got to that point on the lead, I was just going to keep going.
Hello! Glad to see you.
How's it going?
What a place.
Enjoy the walk?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Nice.
I first heard about Lexicon just after Neil did it, and from the first picture of it, I thought this would be a really good candidate to have, this perfect balance between danger and fear and margin of safety.
I mean, obviously not many people know we're here, and the few people who are close to me who I've said, I'm going to be belaying you on this for a flash, and they're like, what? You're going to be doing what?
The lower section is what we would call an E6 in the UK, which roughly translates to French 7A climbing, but with quite poor protection. But the climbing isn't physical. There's a few places you can rest. But yeah, the gear's quite bad and quite spaced. But that leads you up to the crack where you place the last gear, and then all the difficult climbing comes above that. There's no crux, it's just sustained on small side pulls, like little crystals. And then you get to the point, 3 moves below the top. And this is the point where you have to make the decision, because if at this point, if you don't feel like you've got enough energy to finish it, you have to jump off. And that's a huge fall. You don't want to take that fall, but you'd have to take that chance rather than carrying on, thinking that you couldn't do it and entering a really dangerous situation. From this slope, you stretch up to a really small crimp. It's like 4 mil, it's tiny. Build your feet, little pocket, and then you throw for this slot. And that move just takes coordination. You have to go slightly sideways and flick it a little bit. And it's, if you were shaky there, you'd just ding the lip of that thing, and yeah, you'd be in the air a long time.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh no, I can't fucking believe this. Oh my word. Oh, what?
And yeah, I ended up making the first ascent. It was undoubtedly the hardest thing I've ever climbed. It's the hardest thing I ever will climb. I'll never do something harder than that.
Yes! I was always going to relax up to that point and say, oh, if I fall, it's just a big fall. Who cares? It's just a big fall. Blah. Relax. Get to that point and then engage a totally different mode. It's like, if I don't
just like basically overgrip,
like rinse the tank. And it's like, get to that point, and if I think I get one of those feelings that I can't make it, I have to jump, which is going to be really scary, but better than risking it. Whereas if I do get to that point and I feel okay, it's like, okay, I've got to climb to the top now, and it's like survival. You know, you engage a whole different mindset for those last two moves, and especially that move to the slot.
Yeah. What's the hardest physical move? Like lower down, or it's sort of like pretty homogeneous?
It's totally sustained.
Yeah.
That's why it's climbed so well. It's you know, flowing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like doing 3 Font 7B boulders back to back. And there's no like stop a move, you know, unless you've got a hold wrong. You know, if you get the holds right and you get the sequence right, it's a sustained, endurance-based thing. And so by definition, the last move's the crux, because that's when you're most fatigued. And also the last move does have a slight coordination element to it, you know.
Yeah. I discussed this point of no return with James Pearson, who made the 4th ascent of the route. And I always thought in my mind, like, yes, if you feel bad, you just jump off and you are safe. And James insisted that I would not jump down, that no matter how bad you're feeling, you just really want to keep pushing. I think there is a very strong tendency to just keep pushing no matter how bad you're feeling, because you're just up there and you want to try.
I set off to just do a practice go to try and sort out the gear and work out what the bottom wall was going to be like and how it would feel. And I got there, made a total mess of the gear, but thought it's probably all right. And then I thought, I don't feel too bad actually. Now maybe I'll just do a few moves and see what happens. And then I did a few moves, and then you just can't stop. You just go and you go and you go, and suddenly I was totally in the zone.
Go on.
He came really close to the ground. He missed the ground by about 2 meters. At one point, he was just coming down towards me. I actually thought he was going to land on my head. And yet there's still one more move to go after that. So the margins are really tight.
Neil rappelled along Lexicon to start cleaning the holds, choking them up, and showing me the moves just as I was hanging around 8 meters to the right in the neighboring route, so I could get a better view of it. For the ethical reasons, it was really important for me that I'm far enough from the route when Neil is showing me the moves and holds.
This is the point where you place
your last bits of gear before the run out. And what you've got is a smallish cam on the left here. Your main point is this one, which is a little yellow cam, goes in there. Okay, now obviously that's quite a small piece of gear. So what you want to do is you back it up with a bigger one, which is over on the side. But the thing is that has to be extended. Otherwise you get too much drag. So you basically cluster these three pieces together, and that's it. You don't want to go too far past it, but there's a little bit of, and it's 3, yeah, it's front 3. And then you're stepping up, you're into this, big foot, and then the top's like a bucket.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Psyched! It's quite different. Normally, when I go for a flash, I sort of knew I have to go all in. There is definitely this element of danger and being conscious about this last hard move where it would be nice not to fall. As Neil said, like up to the last move, I think it will feel the same as going up on a sport climb. Hopefully I will not like mess up, you know, putting this cluster of gear at the brake. That's maybe the thing that I'm most worried about, but on the other hand, the brake looks good enough, so even if I make like slight mistake and I need to readjust it, it shouldn't cost too much energy. And then the climbing looks hopefully that the beta will fit my style. I think the only doubt is actually the last hard move. There are more foot options, and I think that's the only part where I kind of follow my intuition.
Well, you'd probably, yeah, so you have those on the right hand side.
Yeah.
Go and place these first because they're the good ones. Yeah, these are the good ones. And again, do that one like that. And so maybe have those on the right and the other two on the left.
Yeah.
Suddenly there was just this moment of calm before Adam went for it. And there has to be that moment of calm. You know, everybody just needs to chill down, and then it dawns on you what's about to happen, and you see this guy at the bottom and he's racking up his gear, and you think he's got to go up that, and there's no top rope. He hasn't top roped it first. He's got to lead up that, and it's the 11, and nobody's done that before. Like, you don't have any reference points. You don't have anything to compare it to. Like, no human being's ever done this, and that was weird, you know. And you're kind of trying to keep the mood light-hearted, a little bit of a joke, but not too, knowing what to say to each other. And like when you make eye contact before the route, it's a really strange feeling. And I think it was the best bit was when you just started climbing. Up on the right, into a good cycle right hand. Some jugs at the top, but there is a sloper on the left if it helps you, but it's a bit slopey where the chalk is. And you can place the RP there, but you might just want to keep going, Adam. I think just keep going. So the red can with the sling. Nice, Adam.
The small red one all the way to the bottom.
You got it all the way to the back on the left. Yeah, good work, Adam. You're on the grey, great.
I was scared. I mean, it didn't feel as solid as I was hoping.
I'll be absolutely honest, having climbed the route, one of the first things I thought about that night when I went home was that someone could flash it and that would represent the future, and at some point that would happen, and it might actually happen quite soon. And of course I thought of him because I know him and I've climbed with him, and I know how he walked up these routes on the grit in the sun, like on sighting E7s, like he was out walking his dog, you know. And so yeah, he was such an obvious candidate, but he's a busy guy. He's getting pulled in all different directions. Yeah, come here, Adam, try this route, try that. You know, with his family and everything else, it's like, would he come? And I'm obviously never going to say, come and try my route, but I'm kind of suspecting that maybe one day I'm going to get that message. And then, sure enough, the message appeared on my phone, and it was like, right then, here we go.
I'm a kind of person that definitely enjoys being scared, at least a bit. It is addictive, at least in climbing for me, but you always need to be aware of the danger. And I got it right here, but you know, maybe I was just lucky. And it's hard to tell how much I want to do some objectively dangerous routes in the future, but in this case it was definitely worth it.